Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm back better. It's my first sit down video in like 6-7 months, and today I'm gonna be filming basically things that I've learned in 12 months of corporate. So I started my job in December 2021, and then now it's November, so 12 months of corporate. I did have like a little internship kind of wealth management thing, but I don't class that as a real job, so I'm going to say 12 months of corporate, what I have learnt / picked up. Make sure you subscribe, like as well. First thing I'd say is don't trust nobody. There's a few categories / reasons as to why I say don't trust nobody. First kind of thing I'd say don't trust nobody is don't overshare. Like, don't volunteer information that you don't need to share. Like, it could be used against you, and a lot of this will probably come out as negative, but like, I just see it as protecting myself. You see it on TikTok, you see people talk about it all the time. Don't overshare. Like, don't tell them things that you just don't need to tell them about your personal life. Like, don't tell your colleagues. Just like remembering that your colleagues are not your friends. Like, your colleagues aren't your friends. Like, they're your colleagues and they're not your family. Oh, it's like a family, they're not your family. They are not your friends, they're not your family. Like, don't overshare, don't tell them things that it's like, okay, it could be used against you later on or whatever. Like, oh, I called in sick, and then you tell someone that, oh, actually, like, I was partying. Like, don't do that, don't overshare. Like, keep it to yourself. In the same, sorry, the lighting keeps going weird because the sun is right there. In the category of don't trust anyone, I'd say always prepare for meetings. So it depends what kind of job that you work in, but I am, for context, which is at the beginning, I'm an associate client success manager. So I work in tech, but the firm was acquired by a corporate, like, massive firm. So when I started, it was already acquired. So I work in tech, but it's in corporate, and it's a lot of client facing. So basically it's a SaaS platform that we manage, and then, like, I'm the client manager, so I'm speaking to clients all the time. So it's a lot of client meetings as well, and like weekly business as usual toolkit calls. Cool. I've been burnt before when I've not prepared for a call. I have like not prepared, thinking that that person would come on the call, and the person just has not come on the call, and I'm like, but other times, like, I've basically learned from this one time that this happened, and it was so awkward with the client, and then after this, what I've done is I've made sure every toolkit call, like, so we have like all their ongoing change that's going on, I make sure that I have an update on every single one. And even if that person says, yeah, the lead of the account says, yeah, I'm coming on the call, I'll prepare as if they're not, just in case, oh, you know, I'm running a bit late, and then the client's like, okay, let's get started. Like, it's awkward. So I'd always say, where you can, prepare. Don't trust anyone in that way. Don't rely on anyone to have everything done. Just make sure every call that you go into, especially like when it's client or an external call, make sure that you're prepared, and if someone doesn't turn up, you know what to say, or like you can carry the call in some capacity. So I'd say that's really a huge tip that saved I'd say is keep an email trail of everything, just in case. You never know, like, you just can't trust anyone. This is the same kind of category, but like, keep an email trail of everything, especially with clients, or like if you're in a call, even like internal calls, and then you've agreed that you're going to do this and they've agreed they're going to do this, send a follow-up email. Hi, thanks for jumping on the call earlier, really great to catch up, just further actions that sit with me. For example, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna reach out to this team, I'm gonna do this PowerPoint, and then actions that sit with you or Jacob or whoever. Jacob to call supplier, Jacob to do this, Jacob to do that, and then send it, and then make sure they're like, okay, cool. So I do this when it's a client, and also when it's when it's a client or external, and then also when it's internal calls that especially have a lot of like actions to them, or like, this person does this, and it's like a lot of things going on, just so everyone knows, okay, that's that with you, you were meant to do that, or like, I agreed I'd do this, just if it ever comes up, I have the email trail, I agreed to this, I didn't agree to that. Same as like if you have a conversation, like even with a manager or something, and it's like they've agreed something, and it was like a call or face-to-face, send a follow-up email, just be like, hi, just to confirm you're all good for me to work from home going forward, whatever it is. You need to cover your bum. Some people do it in an annoying way where they like copy in their manager or like someone senior. I'm like, you don't need to do that. But sometimes it can be relevant to like CC and your manager or whoever, just so that they have awareness. I'd say I've learnt in 12 months of corporate is imposter syndrome is really real. So I am 22 at the moment, and the majority of people I work with, I'd say, are like probably like over 40, and I feel sometimes that I'm like out of my depth, and I feel a bit like, especially if I'm like leading a client call, for example, like some of my own clients, and then like this woman had said, oh, I've been at this company 27 years. The other guy said, I've been at 10 years. 27 is bigger than my age. That's how long this woman has been working at her company. I was like, wow, that's mad. But like, I feel like you have to overcome imposter syndrome because it's really fucking real. And I just feel like I'm here because I deserve to be here. Like, and this leads into my next point, which I'll come back to in a minute. But imposter syndrome is real, and it's something that you definitely need to deal with. Yeah, following on the lines of imposter syndrome and like just feeling like I do deserve to be here, because like this is out to anyone, especially if you're a grad scheme or you have a role that you feel like was maybe a bit bigger than what you felt you were qualified for. Like, you're there for a reason, and you got the job because you got the job. Like, you wouldn't have got the job if you weren't qualified for it, kind of thing. The next thing that leads on to that is kind of like, so my company is quite white, and I kind of feel like I was the diverse hire, if I'm being completely honest. And I feel like sometimes I'm kind of like, did they just hire me because I was black to like fill a quota? And I do feel like this again comes in a little bit with imposter syndrome, where I feel like, am I meant to be here? And you just have to tell yourself, like, you were hired because you deserve to be hired. Like, you were qualified for the job, they liked you, and they hired you based off that. You can't let your mind run away and just be like, oh, you know, like, I was hired because I was black. Like, maybe, but like, you just have to tell yourself, like, you got hired because you were worthy of being hired. Because at the same time, if I wasn't qualified or for the role, they wouldn't have hired me whether I was black or not. So that's another thing that I've kind of like felt a little bit, if I'm being completely honest, in the category of kind of like imposter syndrome. And kind of to overcome that, one thing that you got to do, especially when you're like young in the corporate space, or like you're new to your job or role, you have to absolutely fake your confidence until you make it. Again, especially when you're very much in a client facing role or external facing role where you have to talk to a lot of people, you really have to fake your confidence. I think again, this goes with my other point, like being confident in when you go into calls, you know that if someone on your team like disappoints, doesn't show up, you can run that call, whether you're going to talk about what you're meant to talk about or you know what to say. If you know what to say, I feel like you're going to be more confident in it because you're not like flustered. Whereas if you haven't prepared and you're like, oh, you're going to be flustered. But I think 100% being confident in the way you speak, and people can see that. I realised at the beginning of my role, I was kind of like, oh, you know, like, I think, oh, like, I think this maybe, and I just wasn't confident in the way that I sounded. And I feel like clients picked up on that, and they could kind of see in that they kind of, because I didn't feel sure about myself, I feel like they didn't feel sure about me. And then now the way I speak, like, I'm just confident. Hi, like, I'm Hannah, nice to meet you. Especially like when you come onto like a Zoom, for example, like a lot of work now is done over Zoom. Be the first one when you get on, hi everyone, how are you? Hi Amelia, hi thingy. Like, say hello to everyone, don't just be mute. Like, come in with confidence, start as you mean to go on. And also that icebreaker is so important. Oh, how was your weekend? Oh, the weather's really bad here. Honestly, like, when I didn't used to do it versus when I do it now, it makes such the difference. Even if it's going to be a bad call, I'm going to be like, I can't lie, everything's looking peak. I've really kind of broken the ice and like built a little bit of rapport building, and I think it's so important, and people don't realise how long the way it goes, especially in the UK. I feel like British culture is very much like chatty batty and like, oh, like, how's the weather, and like that's just part of our culture. Confidence, you have to pretend you're confident. Whether you look in the mirror and you're like, you talk to yourself, and I think again it goes with like interviews, like anything in this kind of like corporate space, you really have to pretend that you're confident, and it can take you a very, very lastly, I'd say you need to be efficient. And by being efficient, I don't mean multitasking. It doesn't work. Like, finish one task and then start another one. Grace Beverly, and she talks a lot on her YouTube and also her social media about basically time blocking, putting your phone away, whether it's 45 minutes, 25 minutes. Also her book, I think it's called Hardly Working Hard, something like that. Sorry, I'm butchering it, but she has one book out which I have read, and that was really, really great. Spoke about time blocking, getting into the flow of work, which I think I've mentioned in another video, and how like once you force yourself to get into the flow of work and you just sit and genuinely just get into the work, it's easier. Whereas if you keep checking your phone or keep doing this and hopping from task to task, like, it's not efficient. But I think I've definitely learned in these 12 months that you really need to be efficient with your work, and finish a task and stop getting distracted, like having your email notifications on, like turn them off for a bit if that's going to be easier, and you finish a task and then move on to the next. Of course, I'm saying this, it depends on the nature of your role, because if your role is very reactive and you have to react very fast, then you can't do that. Like if it's very much like there's an incident you need to respond within 10 minutes, like that's different. So I'm talking about roles where you can be a little bit less responsive, or you don't need to be so reactive. But yeah, definitely being efficient and trying to do one thing at a time, and just not going on your phone. Like I've genuinely realised if you actually finish work quicker, then you can work for less time. Whereas if you're kind of just like not really working and just till 5, like you could just have the work done and then chill after. So yeah, definitely work on being. Yeah, those were just some things that I picked up from working in corporate life. I love it here. Corporate life, that is. I feel like I will be a corporate babe for a while. Yeah, those are just some things that I've picked up in corporate life, and I feel like hopefully they'll be able to help you out if you're kind of like young and in corporate, or you're in uni and you're going to be starting like a graduate scheme, or you're going to be going into the full-time 9-to-5 life soon. I hope these are some tips that can like help you out, and just so you can like be aware of. But yeah, just remember, like, you deserve to be like wherever you are. Like if you've got the job, you deserve to be there confident. So it's like it's gonna take time to like adjust and get used to things, but you're definitely worthy and you deserve to be wherever you are. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you guys want a part 2 or like another video on, I don't know, like working, corporate life in general, let me know what you guys want, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.